Selamat berpuasa juga ya buat yang menjalankan puasa. Di bulan puasa ini kita mengadakan pelatihan ya atau bimbingan teknis. Kita bisa berkumpul eh, untuk bimbingan teknis platform Euromonitor pada pagi hari ini dalam keadaan sehat. Baik, Bapak Ibu semua yang saya hormati, kegiatan ini kita selenggarakan sebagai bagian dari upaya untuk meningkatkan kapasitas ya atau kompetensi dalam kita memahami dan memanfaatkan ya data dan informasi pasar global ya. Eh, Sebagaimana kita ketahui, saat ini kan pengambilan kebijakan di perdagangan khususnya itu semakin membutuhkan data yang kuat lah, kira-kira gitu. Oleh karena itu, kemampuan kita untuk mengakses, membaca data gitu ya, dan memanfaatkan data itu menjadi sangat penting ya, menjadi sangat very important. Eh, Salah satu sumber data yang dapat membantu kita adalah yang saat ini kita akan sajikan yaitu Euromonitor ya. Namanya Euromonitor Internasional melalui platform Passport. Platform ini merupakan basis data riset pasar global yang menyediakan berbagai informasi mengenai eh, apa market size ya, tren, industri hingga forecast market forecast ya, atau projection eh, untuk berbagai sektor lebih dari 200 negara kalau nggak salah di dunia. Kalau nggak salah jumlah negara tuh 270 deh. Ini udah 200 tuh udah hampir 80%. Jadi pada tahun yang lalu-lalu gitu ya, PDS ini Pusat Data dan Information System itu sudah berlangganan Euromonitor dengan cakupan 15 sektor pada 20 negara. Nah, dari kita melakukan evaluasi ya, pemantauan evaluasi, lalu kita melihat Euromonitor ini menjadi sumber data yang cukup digunakan di lingkungan Kementerian Perdagangan, bahkan menempati peringkat kedua sebagai sumber data yang paling sering diakses di lingkungan Kementerian Perdagangan. Jadi sekitar 90% itu akses digunakan untuk sektor industri khususnya. Kira-kira gitu. Kita kan langganan data banyak ya. Nah, ini Euromonitor termasuk ranking kedua yang sering dipakai oleh pegawai ya, Kementerian Perdagangan dalam mendukung pengambilan kebijakan. Nah, saya dengan adanya tinggi pemanfaatan tersebut, maka PDSI ini ke kami ya, timnya Mbak Sari ini kembali melanjutkan langganan Euromonitor dengan fokus pada sektor industri. Tapi wilayahnya kita perluas sehingga tidak lagi terbatas pada negara tertentu, melainkan dapat mencakup seluruh negara yang tersedia dalam platform ini gitu. Jadi sudah di sektor industri tapi negaranya kita perluas nih, sekarang udah seluruh negara bisa kita mendapatkan akses datanya. Bapak Ibu sekalian, saya harap melalui pelatihan ini kita semua dapat memahami bagaimana cara memanfaatkan fitur-fitur yang ada di Euromonitor secara optimal, tidak hanya sekedar mengakses data ya, tapi juga bagaimana mengolah dan menggunakan sebagai bahan analisa dalam mendukung perumusan kebijakan khususnya di sektor perdagangan. Monggo manfaatkan kesempatan ini untuk discuss ya secara aktif dengan tim Euromonitor, digali berbagai fitur yang tersedia serta berbagai pengalaman dalam pemanfaatan pasar global. Kami berharap setelah kegiatan ini pemanfaatan Euromonitor di lingkungan Kementerian Perdagangan dapat semakin luas gitu ya, semakin banyak, semakin optimal, dan benar-benar membantu kita dalam menghasilkan analisis kebijakan yang lebih tajam, komprehensif, dan berbasis data. Akhir kata, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada tim Euromonitor. Thank you very much for your time and support ya, kerjasamanya, serta kepada seluruh peserta yang telah meluangkan waktu untuk mengikuti kegiatan ini. Semoga kegiatan ini memberi manfaat yang baik buat kita semua. Baik, saya rasa itu yang bisa saya sampaikan. Saya kembalikan ke Mbak Sari. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Bapak Kepala Pusat Data dan Informasi, Bapak Nurimansyah, atas sambutannya sekaligus pembukaan kegiatan bimbingan teknis pemanfaatan platform Euromonitor pada hari ini. Baik, Bapak dan Ibu yang kami hormati, selanjutnya kita akan memasuki sesi pemaparan materi terkait dengan pengenalan dan pemanfaatan platform Euromonitor. Kemudian melalui sesi ini kami harapkan peserta juga dapat memahami berbagai fitur nanti yang dijelaskan oleh pemapar, kemudian berbagai macam fitur juga potensi pemanfaatan data dan informasinya yang tersedia untuk mendukung analisa maupun perumusan kebijakan berbasis data yang nanti akan digunakan oleh Bapak dan Ibu sekalian. Untuk itu kepada narasumber dari tim Euromonitor kami persilakan untuk mulai pemaparannya. Selamat pagi, Miss Cynthia. Miss
Pagi,
Caca,
Ibu Sari.
halo Pak Andi.
Pagi.
Ya, selamat pagi Bapak. Kami silakan untuk memulai. Silakan,
Baik.
Bu
Terima
Cynthia.
kasih sebelumnya Bu Sari, Pak Iman sudah dibantu buka dan sambutannya. Kita juga berterima kasih sama rekan-rekan dari tim Kemendak atas waktunya sudah menyempatkan untuk join training hari ini. Sebelumnya mungkin kita bisa perkenalan dulu dari tim Euromonitor. Saya Cynthia, saya based di Jakarta. Saya di sini membantu sebagai representatif lokal dari Euromonitor. Bersama saya di sini ada Andi Salim dan juga Cancal Yadav. Cancal Yadav seperti yang sudah diketahui sebelumnya menjadi account manager untuk akun Kemendak, dan di sini koleganya Andi akan ikut bantu support untuk selama training. Nanti di penghujung call kali ini juga akan ada satu tim riset yang ikut join untuk membantu sesi tanya jawab. Pada hari ini agendanya akan fokus ke pelatihan teknis untuk penggunaan paspor secara mandiri bagi rekan-rekan di Kemendak. Untuk trend sharing dan insight sharing kita juga bisa menjadwalkan kembali di lain kesempatan. Untuk alurnya sendiri kita akan ada introduction, kenalan mengenai Euromonitor dan juga platform paspor. Lalu kita akan fokus ke pelatihan teknikal dan setelahnya akan ada sesi tanya jawab. Jika teman-teman ada pertanyaan selama sesi pengenalan dan juga training, bisa menuliskan dulu di kolom komentar, lalu kita akan menjawab di sesi selanjutnya. Mungkin cukup dari saya. Saya akan mengembalikan ke Cenca dan Andy. Thank you, Andy. Cenca, you can start. Sorry, Cenca, you are still on mute. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Cynthia, for the introduction. Thank you, Andy, for your support. Very nice to see you, Buinda Busari, again, even if it's on the screen. All right. So today, please bear with us because I know this will be an interesting setup for all of us. I will be doing the main training. I will be speaking in English, and Andy will be translating everything that I say section by section. So let us start with a very basic introduction of the coverage of Euromonitor database, which is called Passport, that Ministry of Trade Indonesia has as of right now, as per the new renewal. And for that, I will maybe do a quick presentation, very quick slides before we jump into Passport. Maybe while I share it, Andy, Cynthia, if you can just help translate what I said so far.
Ya, terima kasih rekan-rekan dari Kemendak, Pak Iman, Bu Winda, Bu Sari, Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today ya untuk membantu kemandirian tim-tim Kemendak untuk menggunakan paspor. Nah, jadi contoh ini tekan manajemen untuk Kemendak. Di sini saya juga sangat bersyukur diberikan kesempatan untuk membantu menerjemahkan, jadi supaya dari dua pihak ini dapat lebih memaksimalkan penggunaan paspor. Nah, Pak Iman, kami izin ya saya screen. Ya, oke, Penca, silakan.
Thank you. Thank you. I think my present mode will not work over here because I have another laptop connected. So we will just keep it like this because this will only take a few minutes. So as you all know, we are here to focus on passport training and making all the users familiar with passport database, what data is available under current subscription for the users at Ministry of Indonesia, for the authorized users at Ministry of Indonesia. I know that a lot of you might already be aware of what passport is, but it is always good to start from the basics. So just want to set a foundation of what Euromonitor is, what passport is, where it sits under Euromonitor solutions, and under passport, what is available to the users at Ministry of Indonesia. So very quickly, Euromonitor has been around for 50 years, and we have offices in 16 countries, 16 global offices. Singapore is now the APAC HQ, APAC headquarters, and from Singapore office, we support our clients in Southeast Asia as well as the wider Asia Pacific. Euromonitor primarily provides market research and business intelligence to our clients, and it provides this intelligence in two ways. One is with readily available data, which is our ongoing research that is available to our clients, to our users to access at any given time, either through a subscription or through ad hoc purchases, and so on and so forth. So that is one part. The second way that our research and our services are available to our clients is through custom research or consulting projects, which covers a more wider and deeper variety of topics as well as business questions. For today, we are going to focus only on Passport, which is our flagship database under the syndicated model, which is basically our readily available data. Very quickly, just a few minutes. Yeah, Andy, please.
Okay,
Go
let
ahead.
me maybe help to
Yeah,
provide
sure.
some context. Jadi teman-teman dari Kemendak ini kami izin untuk memberikan sedikit pengenalan lagi mengenai paspor dan Euromonitor. Tentunya yang seperti di sharing Pak Iman tadi, mungkin kebetulan tim-tim Kemendak sudah lebih memahami, namun kami kira sebaiknya kami memberikan sedikit overview ya untuk paspor, untuk Euromonitor dan paspor, di mana sebenarnya kami memiliki kantor di 16 negara dan mengcover 100 lebih on the country research di market. Nah, dari segi data-data yang kami cakupin ini tentunya karena kami secara regional untuk Asia Tenggara kantornya berpusat di Singapura. Maka dari sini tim-tim kami memberikan training dan support itu dari kantor Singapura. Ada dua produk utama dari Euromonitor. Yang pertama itu lebih ke syndicated research, di mana data-data ini sudah kami research secara berkala untuk mensupport klien-klien kami di seluruh dunia. Nah, tadi rekan saya Chancal juga men-sharing solusi yang kedua mengenai consulting, di mana itu lebih ke solusi riset yang dapat di-customize. Namun hari ini fokusnya lebih ke paspor, di mana dia adalah syndicated research yang sudah dapat diakses melalui web.
Okay. Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
So just a couple of sentences on Passport. I'm sure that all the users on the call are aware of what this is, but Passport is our flagship database. It is the platform where we upload all of our day-to-day research, ongoing research on industries, which are consumer sectors, as well as B2B, on economies, which consists of macroeconomic data, and on consumers, which are our consumer insights and trends forecast. So all of that data is what you can expect to find on Passport. And as we move forward on this slide, I will show you all the topics that are covered under Passport's umbrella. Andy?
Ya, jadi di paspor ini memiliki beberapa 4 sampai 6 kategori utama, di mana yang pertama itu industri, yang kedua adalah channel, consumers, economies, dan sebagainya. Nanti di training ini kami juga memberikan lebih detail mengenai apa yang dapat di cover, terutama untuk subscriptionnya dari tim Kemendak, yakni yang di is it industrial? Sorry, just to
Yeah,
confirm. Ya, yang
industrial
bagian
is what is the
industrial.
main
Ya.
coverage. All right. Should I move on, Andy?
Ya.
Okay, got it. So this next slide is very simple. This is again basically just to say that the different ways in which this data on Passport is available to our clients is through subscription. So 1 year subscription is what the Ministry of Trade Indonesia has with us to the industrial system for global, which is all geographies. Apart from that, if there is any need for data or reports which are not in your subscription, these are also available at additional cost to the ministry. And I know that Bhuvinda and Bhusari is very well aware of this process. So this slide just covers the different ways in which this data is available for use to the users of Ministry of Indonesia. Andy?
Ya, ini rekan saya sharing bahwasannya yang nanti akan kami sharing itu hanyalah data-data yang sudah disubskripsi. Namun kami juga hendak menggunakan kesempatan ini untuk berbagi informasi ke tim-tim Kemendak. Jikalau ada data-data yang diperlukan namun tidak dalam scope, mungkin tim dapat menggunakan data extraction yang secara ad hoc dengan biaya tambahan. Nah, tadi ini juga balik lagi dengan mungkin arahannya Pak Imam bahwasannya kita juga bisa mungkin lebih open-minded melihat bahwasanya mungkin kalau data-data ini diperlukan namun tidak dalam subskripsi, bisa menghubungi mungkin Bu Vida dan Bu Sari. Kita bisa lihat bagaimana kita membantu secara data extraction.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
So I will just maybe directly move to the Passport topic coverage in this slide. Now, this is very important, and please take a few seconds to go through these topics here. These are all the headlining or top line topics and categories that we cover on Passport for our research. Now, what is covered under your current subscription is industrial, which is over here. And I have highlighted that in green, but it is not limited to this. And I enforce this because when you log into your Passports, you may only be able to see industrial topic in your search, but there is a whole universe of Passport that of topics that we also cover on Passport. I will be sharing this slide later. Cynthia will forward it to Bhuvinda and Bhusari, and I'm sure that they will forward it to all of you. When you do that, please note that all of these topics have hyperlinked. So if I click on this hyperlink, this will lead me to this page, which is what we call a fact sheet. Now, a fact sheet, and here the example is industrial, which is in your coverage, will cover what can you expect from industrial system or industrial data sets, what are the data sets available, what kind of statistics you can see, what kind of analysis you can see, and very important, all the topics that we cover, all the industries, B2B industries that we cover under industrial. And
Sorry,
so
Ms.
on and
Yoncha.
so forth. Yes,
Are you already showing the fact sheet? Because it's
I
not
am.
showing.
It's not visible.
Yeah,
All
yeah, I
right,
think
one
it's the
second.
screen
Let me
sharing.
share it again.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have to, I think, toggle between the screens. Let me share it.
Oke, maybe let me help here.
Yeah.
Jadi di sini untuk rekan-rekan Kemendak kami hendak sharing bahwasannya yang dalam subskripsi itu nanti kelihatannya hanya cuma industrial. Namun dari slide ini teman-teman bisa melihat bahwasanya yang kita cover itu sangat luas. Nah, balik lagi ke poin yang tadi kami sharing, jika memang ada kebutuhan di luar dari industri itu tetap bisa mengoptimalkan data-data dari Euromonitor mungkin bisa dengan secara ad hoc. Nah, setiap link yang nanti tim kami, Chancha dan Cynthia akan mengirimkan slide tadi ya. Jadi di setiap hyperlink tadi itu bisa diklik. Begitu diklik bisa kelihatan faksi-faksi yang berhubungan dengan industri-industri yang diperlukan, misalnya beauty and personal care dan sebagainya. Di sini kita menggunakan kesempatan hari ini itu untuk menampilkan fact-sheetnya industrial. Oke,
Yeah,
seperti itu, Chancha. Ya,
yeah, Andy. So should I just start from this one, the
ya,
fact sheet?
ya.
Yes. So just to show you the fact sheets that these hyperlinks will lead to, I'm showing industrial as an example, but all the topics have this fact sheet attached to it, which shows you which data sets are available under that topic, which statistics are available under the topic, and very importantly, all the breakdown of categories and subcategories under that topic. And here it's industrial. So as you can see, we cover 177 industries on industrial, and this is a breakdown of all of them. The countries that we cover will be below it. So this is a very good way if you are just starting to explore all the different topics under industrial, or if you are just getting more familiar with what to expect, what kind of industries to expect under industrial. Yeah,
Ya,
Andy.
thank you, Shinsho. Jadi di Vex ini berdasarkan feedback dari klien kami, ini sangat membantu karena kadang-kadang kita juga nggak tahu apa yang di cover di platform ini yang pertama. Yang kedua, kadang-kadang kita juga nggak tahu apa yang kita belum tahu ketahui. Nah, di sini dengan masuk ke Vex ini kita bisa melihat data-data poin yang mungkin ada dan di sini bisa memberikan sedikit inspirasi uh, ataupun starting point untuk melihat data-data yang dapat kita analisa. Di sini, di fax ini akan kelihatan bahwasanya data-data yang dimiliki Euromonitor itu sebenarnya sangat granular. Kadang-kadang kalau di high level misalnya auto backup doang kan nggak actionable. Nah, di sini kita melihat granularitasnya, oh di bawah auto backup itu ada apa aja. Di sini mungkin dapat membantu rekan-rekan Kemendak untuk lebih kreatif dalam penggunaan data.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Andy. And then the last one is the list of all the countries, all the geographies that we cover on passport. Now, for Ministry of Trade Indonesia, you have access to the global coverage for industrial, which means that industrial system for all the countries available on passport, which is these. So again, when you receive the slide, please feel free to go through the different countries and geographies that we cover on passport. Yeah.
Ya, di sini kami juga bersyukur diberikan kesempatan untuk mengcover ya atau mensupport seluruh data yang kita miliki under industrial. Jadi kadang-kadang memang ini berbeda-beda, namun di sini kami bisa melihat bahwasanya penggunaan data kalau secara global ini sangat membantu karena kadang-kadang kita juga nggak sebagai tim ataupun dari klien kadang-kadang kita nggak tahu nih datanya yang dibutuhkan yang mana aja. Nah, kalau pilihnya global at any point of time ketika dibutuhkan tim bisa klik dan melihat mengakses data-data yang berhubungan dengan riset pada waktu tersebut. Nah, ini berbeda dengan ad hoc di mana kalau ad hoc kadang-kadang klien lain mungkin reach out lagi ya dan proses pembelian data itu kadang-kadang lebih mengkonsumsi daripada nilai tersebut. Nah, di sini kalau sudah dibuka semua tentunya sangat membantu apalagi rekan-rekan Kemendak sangat ini ya dari segi jumlah sangat besar tim membernya.
Thank you, Andy.
Ya.
So with this part one, or I would say section one of the presentation is done, which was to introduce our current partnership. Next section, I will be covering not in very much detail, but to give you the important aspects of how industrial system can help you with different kinds of analysis. So Andy, I will just be speaking and maybe we can just go section by section. While I bring the document on my screen, is there any important questions or any comments from anyone to take note of? Well, just very quickly, I will just while I bring the notes to my screen.
Yeah.
Maybe Busari, Buinda, if there's anything, do let us know. Okay. Yes.
No, I think we can continue, Cynthia.
Okay, great, sure. So for in this section, we will cover some of the major use cases that we have seen across government clients,
Uh,
specifically.
Chan, I think
Yes,
the document not showing.
I'm not sharing it, Andy. I'm
Okay,
to
okay,
talk through it.
yeah.
Yeah. The important use cases for the industrial system that we have seen in our experience, how our different government clients like to use industrial. Now, there can be endless use cases, but these are just some of the guidelines and directions we would like you to take away from today's sessions. I will cover some of the critical business questions that industrial system can help different teams answer. And I will very quickly cover the basic methodology that we use for our industrial system. Okay, so I will start with the first section, Andy. I will cover the points and then perhaps you can just translate them instead of maybe sentence by sentence.
Okay.
We have identified 4 major use cases for passport system, the industrial system. These are not exhaustive, but these are just some of the directional questions or thoughts that we can give you, which you can start to explore on your own as you use industrial system. So the first point for which most of our clients like to use industrial system is to evaluate the size and to evaluate the potential of any manufacturing or service industry on a global or a regional or a country level. So you might be aware that market sizing or sizing of an industry is something that we are experts on and we are known for. And this is something that we do for consumer industries as well as B2B industries. The second major use case for industrial is to help you identify the opportunities in the market. And how do we do that? We evaluate different industry statistics under industrial, which we see on passport. And some of the major statistics that we help evaluate in detail are production forecast, firmographics, cost structure, profitability of the industries, and so on and so forth. So that is the second major use case that we have seen our clients use industrial for. The third major use case is and now that we have covered the market, we start to look at the major players within an industry. So what we do is we analyze the structure and the potential of foreign trade by industry as well as by country. So that's the third major use case that we have seen industrial provide is, I'm sure that Ministry of Trade is also heavily focused on this foreign trade aspect. So that's something that industrial can also help support through its statistics and analysis. And then the final one is to examine the concentration or fragmentation of different industries and the leading players under them. Who are these manufacturers and who are these service companies that are leading the growth of any sector? How concentrated is a certain sector and how fragmented is a certain sector, and so on and so forth. So these are the 4 major use cases that we have identified that our government clients like to use industrial system for. Now, Andy, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chanchal. Good case. Di sini tim kami hendak berbagi ada 4 use case utama ya untuk bagian passport industry, terutama untuk rekan-rekan dari pemerintah. Nah, yang pertama itu tentunya kita bisa membantu mengevaluasi market size, yang tentunya sangat penting karena kan untuk di bagian yang dulu di industries yang tim Kemendak juga subscribe itu juga sama, kita cover the consumer industries, di sini kita cover lebih ke industrial. Nah, yang kedua, kita juga bisa membantu rekan-rekan dari Kemendak untuk lebih atau memberikan akses ya ke data-data lain selain market size. Jadi terutama bagaimana mengenali potensi dari industri-industri yang terkait seperti mungkin data-data production, data-data firmographics, cost structure, dan profitability ataupun laba dari industri tersebut. Nah, yang ketiga, kita juga bisa membantu mengenali struktur dan foreign trade. In this case is export-import, Sanjay?
Yes, import-export.
Import-export. Nah, ini juga tentunya data-data yang sangat berhubungan. Dan yang keempat adalah lebih memahami dari segi competitive landscape ataupun sudut pandang struktur industri tersebut apakah sangat terkonsentrasi ataupun terfragmented. Ini kan tentunya juga memiliki margin yang berbeda-beda di industri tersebut dari segi apakah seberapa besar penguasaan pasar dari leading companies di sektor tersebut.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy.
Ya.
So now that we know what are the use cases, yes, does anyone have anything to say? Sorry, I heard something.
Nah,
No? Okay. I would like to maybe leave you with some questions, and maybe later on when you start to explore industrial system, you can try to see how industrial system can help answer these questions. But I have written down some examples of the critical business questions that our industrial system on Passport can help you answer. So the first few questions are related to sizing markets. Like I said, Euromonitor is known as an expert in sizing any industry, any market, and any region. So a lot of the questions related to that sizing of markets are what industrial system can help you answer. For example, which are the industries that contribute most to the GDP of a country? That question can be answered through industrial system because we cover all the companies that contribute to the share of the market share of any industry, manufacturing or service. Industrial can help you answer what is the full supply chain of an industry. So you will be able to see statistics on right from B2B to B2C, even B2G, to sort of help you get an overview of the supply chain for a given industry because we cover both business to business as well as business to consumer side of things. It can help you answer or identify where are some of the foreign trade opportunities that I can find. That is also something that it can help you identify. And another question that perhaps industrial can help you answer is which are the countries that are leading producers in any industry. So like I said, we cover 177 industries on the industrial system, and you will be able to identify not only which are the sectors under it, whether it's food, whether it's medical equipment, whether it's beverages and so on, and which countries are leading in the production of each of these goods or services. Yeah, Andy.
ya, thank you, Cico. Jadi di sini tim kami juga secara proaktif mungkin memberikan beberapa pertanyaan utama yang kita menyajikan beberapa pertanyaan utama yang mungkin paspor dapat bisa jawab. Yang pertama itu dari segi sebenarnya kontribusi industri tertentu ke total GDP di negara tertentu itu berapa. Nah, ini kami pikir sangat-sangat bermanfaat bagi tim untuk mengenali seberapa signifikan industri tersebut dari segi mungkin regulasi ya. Yang kedua, supply chain tersebut dari industri tersebut itu bagaimana. Yang ketiga, dari segi ekspor import foreign trade itu di mana kesempatannya dapat ditemui. Dan yang keempat itu dari segi sebenarnya negara mana saja yang adalah atau menjadi produser utama di industri tersebut. Nah, tentunya 4 sampai 5 pertanyaan ini kami kira sangat penting dan bermanfaat bagi tim-tim dari Kemendak.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So these were just some of the examples of the critical questions that industrial system can help you answer. Just to give you a direction of how to think and how to connect your questions and your doubts to the data that is available on the system. Now, before we move to Passport, one final section is just to touch on the methodology, because as researchers, as data analysts, it is very important to know where the data is coming from. Hence, I have a few lines here to just lay down that foundation of the data that you see on Passport. What is the source of that data? So the methodology that we use for industrial system can be described as top-down. And what serves as a framework for our research for industrial are national accounts and national statistics of different countries. So national accounts, input-output tables, which are provided by national statistics offices. These are our primary source for the industrial data. And these accounts and these statistics also represent all the economic transactions in an economy. right? So, because of the full coverage that we have on industrial, and because of the full coverage that these national statistics of different countries have, we ensure that we do not lose the count for any industry, or we do not double count any of the industries. And because of its methodology, it provides us the most reliable analysis, which is also very easily comparable to other countries. And now you may ask, or you might have the question that the national statistics might use national classifications, right? But how does that help us cross compare, and what do we do to enable that the data that we see is cross comparable across nations and across geographies? And for that purpose, we use ISIC codes. And if you go to industrial system on Passport, you will see all the ISIC codes for the different industries that we have covered. Now, these are set or developed by United Nations. And because of this classification, which is homogeneous, which is unanimous, we are able to come up with data sets that are comparable between countries. You, from your end, will not have to take too much time or effort to do a final revision or analysis of the data that you see on Passport, to convert it into different currencies or different I don't know, different measurement units and so on and so forth. It is all standardized because we use ISIC and because we have internal methodologies to sort of standardize and make the data cross comparable.
Ya,
So this is
thank
the
you.
very basic methodology for industrial system. Yeah.
Ya, di sini kami juga hendak berbagi informasi mengenai metodologi ya. Karena kan sebenarnya data-data ini sumbernya adalah dari National Statistic. Nah, tapi kan banyak negara dan setiap negara ini tentunya mungkin memiliki definisi yang berbeda-beda mengenai sektor-sektor. Nah, ini yang menjadi kendala utama bagi rekan-rekan sebenarnya. Nah, di sini kami menggunakan acuan dari United Nations di mana itu sumbernya itu lebih ke ISIC code. Di sini kalau ada kodenya berarti semua dapat kita samakan sehingga misalnya ketika tim melihat mungkin industri food ya, food dari satu negara dengan lain dia sama, Mbak. Bayangin ya kalau misalnya data-datanya ini nggak sama, jadi perbandingannya sebenarnya juga nggak actionable untuk tim-tim Kemendak. Di sini kami sangat bersyukur diberikan kesempatan untuk dapat membantu tim Kemendak karena di sini adalah salah satu mungkin kekuatan utamanya Euromonitor di mana kami memberikan data yang cross comparable untuk semua negara yang kita cover. Tentunya di sini juga bukan hanya data dari National Statistics, ini juga terdapat pengolahan internal data kita untuk memastikan tidak ada double counting misalnya ataupun segmen-segmen yang ternyata tidak tercakup di segmen tertentu.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So I hope that with this, we have a certain foundation and understanding of what to expect from the industrial system, its data sets and insights that are available on Passport. Now, this is our final section before the Q&A, is to actually look at the Passport database. Now, our purpose with every Passport training is to ensure that you are, self-sufficient to use this, because you're familiar with the functionality of Passport and how to use it and where to find what data, how to semi-customize that data according to your preference and things like that. So that will be our purpose, or my purpose, to ensure that you are familiar enough that you find it easy and friendly to use the Passport database going forward. Andy?
Ya, jadi di bagian yang terakhir ini sebelum sesi tanya jawab, kami login di paspor ini untuk menampilkan bagaimana mengoptimalkan penggunaan paspor. Nah, yang paling penting dari tujuan sesi ini adalah untuk membantu seluruh rekan-rekan Kemendak untuk secara bisa nyaman menggunakan ataupun mencari informasi yang diperlukan secara mandiri dari platform paspor kami. Ya, silakan
Thank you,
Tanja.
Andy. Yeah, so I hope Andy, you're able to see my screen, right? Passport landing page.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will just spend a few minutes on this landing page just to show the functionality, and then I will just pause for you after that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you are seeing right now is the home page or the landing page for Passport database. Once all of you log in, this is what you should be able to see as well. Now, just to note that some things may appear a bit different because what I'm showing you is the full passport system. For you, you might only be able to see topics and sections related to industrial only. So please don't panic or don't get confused. Or if you are not able to see what I'm able to see exactly, but the outlay should look like this. Now, there are a few important things that I would like the users to note on this page, which can be helpful to you. So what you're seeing here is on the main page, these are some of the latest reports that we have published. This is just not very important, but just something to note. But I would like to draw your attention here to this search bar. Now, for users who have been using Passport, you might be aware that, sorry, I think this is logging in. I had it open before. Just give me a second. Just a second. Yes, perfect. So I would like to draw your attention to the search bar. So as I was saying, for those who have been using Passport for the last few years, or ever since Ministry of Trade started subscribing to Passport database, you may remember this as just being a search bar, which is a keyword search bar, exactly how we usually use Google. We have a keyword in mind, let's say snacks or snacks in Indonesia, and then it will give us that related research, or basically every statistic, every report, every dashboard that might have the keyword snacks, snacks in Indonesia, snacks in Philippines, so on and so forth. However, in the last couple of years, we have introduced something called Passport AI. For those who are not familiar at all, Passport AI is kind of functions as, let's say, your chat GPT, but for the passport universe. So exactly how you would use any AI tool, for example, ChatGPT, because it is the most common one. The crux of your usage is the questions that you ask. So exactly same logic applies here to Passport AI. Is instead of keyword search, you use a full question to ask. For example, a prompt could be what are some of the wellness trends observed in food and beverages in Indonesia? So the better your questions, the better your prompt, the better answers will Passport AI give you. So instead of you as users going to different statistics, to different reports to find the answer to your questions, you can use Passport AI. It will give you an answer in bullet points, and then it will also tag the sources or the reports that it used to come up with an answer. So I encourage you to, maybe once you start using Passport, please do use this search functionality, use Passport AI. This is the bar. You don't need to go anywhere else. Try using the search bar, and I think it will be very interesting and might even help save some time and effort for you if you're looking for very specific questions. So on this page, this is something that is new and I wanted to highlight. From now, we will move on to taking a look at the specific statistics and reports. Andy,
Yeah.
while I do that,
Yeah.
maybe you could
Yeah.
just explain this.
Thank you, Shisha. Di sini kami hendak berbagi kepada tim Kemendak bahwasanya sekarang kami menyediakan search function yang lebih advance ya, namanya Passport AI. Nah, kalau dulu kan misalnya tim-tim masih ingat ya, mungkin di search bar yang seperti Google itu kalau kita ketik market share, nanti market share-nya keluar. Nah, tapi di sini kami sudah upgrade ini. Jadi menggunakan teknologi AI di mana kami mungkin bisa, user bisa menggunakan pertanyaan yang lebih pointed, misalnya bagaimana tren-tren wellness yang dapat diaplikasi di food industry misalnya. Nah di sini nanti pas bisa memberikan jawaban yang lebih 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 intelektual ataupun lebih menggunakan teknologi AI. Kalau dulu kan hanya sebatas seperti search function. Ketika kita search market size, maka keluarnya market size. Nah, di sini kami hendak berbagi informasi ini. Semoga tim-tim Kemendak dapat mencoba fitur yang baru ini. Terima kasih.
All right. Thank you, Andy. So after that, the next step that would be is to take a look at the statistics and the data itself. For that, I like to use the explore categories. This is the best way if you are new to Passport, especially to start seeing exactly what is in your coverage, what are the categories and subcategories in your coverage, and what are the geographies in your coverage. Again, to reiterate, I have access to the full Passport system. Like we saw in the previous slide that we covered a lot of topics both on consumer sides as well as the manufacturing services side. We have ancillary analysis in terms of macroeconomic analysis as well as consumer analysis. So I am seeing everything. But in your login for Ministry of Trade Indonesia, if you come to this page, you might only see this B2B and industrial. All right. So this is where we start to look. Again, this is the most preferred or the easiest way to start looking at data, but there are multiple ways you can do it and we can come to that towards the end. So when I click on the expand button, the plus sign on industrial, this gives me the list of all the headlining industries that are covered in industrial. Another thing to note is if you see the eye icon here, if I click on this, it flashes a very quick definition of the related particular industry. Again, something very handy if you want to quickly know what is covered and what is not covered under a given industry. Andy?
Ya, nah di sini rekan-rekan dapat melihat secara full access ternyata Passport itu cover jauh lebih banyak dari data industrial. Nah, tapi untuk subscriptionnya tim Kemendak ini lebih ke fokusnya yang industrial. Nah, di sini rekan-rekan juga dapat melihat granularitas data yang kita cover dari segi agriculture, energy, dan sebagainya. Tapi nanti rekan saya akan mungkin lebih berbagi juga ke bagian yang icon yang di sebelah kiri plus itu dapat diklik sehingga mungkin bisa melihat ke subkategori yang berikutnya. Kemudian ada icon eye di bagian kanan. Begitu user hover ke bagian sana akan kelihatan. Nah, definisi agriculture itu bagaimana mengenai tentunya menggunakan ISIC sebagai fondasi ataupun patokan utama.
Thank you, Andy. So for today's demonstration or training, maybe we can use a quick example. I see tobacco ISIC. Oh, by the way, the more plus signs you see, the more subcategories there are under it. So even if you don't see ISIC here, it's because under beverages, let's say there are different spirits or different drinks have different ISICs of their own. All right. So maybe for today, we can just focus on tobacco products. Another FYI, there is no limit to the number of industries you can select. You can select any number of industries, but just to keep things simple today, I am going to just pick one industry today. Andy, while I go to the next one.
Hari ini kita akan hanya seperti yang tadi saya sharing, rekan-rekan dapat mengklik tombol tambah untuk melihat subkategori berikutnya. Di hari ini kami menggunakan tobacco karena untuk memberikan use case yang lebih relevan ya ke tim-tim dari Kemendak.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So after that, the next step will be to select the geographies. This is important. Without selecting geographies, you will not be able to view the results. So let's just go with Indonesia maybe, and I think this will be quite familiar to you all. And I will click on view results over here. After clicking on view results, this will take me to the results page. Now, something that I would like to highlight here for both new as well as old users is that we can look at Passport as having 3 pillars. So the 3 pillars of Passport are a quantitative pillar, qualitative pillar, and functional pillar. Quantitative pillar has all the numbers, all the hard data for any given category or topic. Hence, it's called the qualitative pillar, and we will take a look at the tables where you will be able to view this quantitative or hard data. The second pillar of Passport is the qualitative pillar, which is basically your written analysis, which is available to you in the form of reports. We have different kind of reports that we cover on Passport. We will take a look at some of them. And the final pillar is the functional pillar. This pillar has all the interactive tools and dashboards that help give a more comprehensive or interactive analysis to what we already have under statistics and under quantitative and under qualitative, to present it in a way that is more interactive and more visual to your understanding. So this will include things like your industrial visual dashboards, tariffs and trade, even our consumer service and industry service that we do may not be available here, but associated to other topics and categories. So it is easier if we take a look at Passport as having 3 pillars, because it helps us understand when I say data, you can find data on Passport, what exactly is that data and how it can be categorized. Yeah, Andy.
Thank you, Sensor. Di sini kami hendak mungkin mengingatkan kembali atau menekankan bahwasannya pasport ini sebenarnya memiliki 3 pilar utama. Yang pertama itu adalah dari segi data kuantitatif. Nah, di sini data production, company shares, dan sebagainya itu lebih ke pilar yang utama. Nah, pilar yang kedua yang kami juga sangat menganjurkan untuk tim-tim dari Kemendak untuk mencoba ada dari segi analisis. Karena ada beberapa feedback dari klien kami, kadang-kadang sudah sangat terbiasa dengan yang data, jadi mungkin tidak begitu banyak mengakses data yang dianalisa ataupun report tersebut. Nah, di sini kami hendak menekankan kembali ada pilar yang kedua, di mana analisa-analisa dari segi report tadi dapat diakses di tab yang kedua yang bernama analisis tersebut. Chancha, can you click the analysis part?
Yeah, sure.
Ya, di sini ada contoh-contoh report yang dapat diakses atau yang berhubungan dengan industri yang dipilih yang di awal tadi. Misalnya tadi kan di sini kelihatan hanya Indonesia karena tadi di menu yang dipilih itu Indonesia. Namun kalau diklik semua report-report yang berhubungan bukan hanya mungkin di Indonesia ya, karena kan kalau dipilih Asia Pasifik muncul juga di sini. Yang bagian yang ketiga itu dashboard. Dashboard itu lebih ke analytical tool. Nah, nanti kita juga dapat mungkin memberikan sedikit sharing ataupun cara-cara mengakses industrial dashboard ini. Jadi kami tekankan lagi ada 3 pilar. Semoga tim-tim Kemendak dapat mencoba 3 pilar tersebut.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
So now we will start to take a look at something that is very important, is the layout of the quantitative data and what are the different functions of the table that you can semi-customize to your preference. Before that, if at any point I change my mind and I want to add more categories and topics, you don't need to go all the way back to the first or the landing page. You can go to modify search here, click on it, and that at any point in time, if you want to add or subtract industries or geographies, you can just access it from there.
Yeah, I think this is a very good point. Untuk tim-tim Kemendak, nah kadang-kadang mungkin kan setelah kita menggunakan data tersebut, tadi saya pilihnya Indonesia, kemudian mungkin Australia dan sebagainya ya. Kadang-kadang kan as we move along the process, kita juga hendak menambahkan cakupan scope ataupun cakupan geografi yang berikutnya. Nah, di sini dari segi UX, kita tidak perlu balik ke homepage kemudian ulangi 5 step tadi. Jadi kita hanya bisa, jadi user bisa mengklik bagian modify search. Di sini kita bisa langsung menambahkan subsegment tertentu ataupun negara tertentu yang akan kita analisa.
Ya.
Ini sebenarnya sangat penting dari segi UX karena kalau enggak berarti kan user terus balik lagi ke homepage kemudian mengulangi step 1, 2, 3 yang sama tadi.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So these are the small aspects of Passport's functionality that sometimes we can overlook, but if we know how to use it, it can make our usage experience better and faster. So just wanted to point that out. Now we will start to take a look at the statistics itself, the quantitative data, and how it is presented on Passport. Now, yes, the numbers themselves are important, but what can we do with those numbers? What is available to you to do it immediately? How to customize it to your preference immediately? For that, it is important to take a look at this table and understand the layout of this table. So I will just finish the explaining this table, Andy, and then maybe you can just translate at one shot. So what we are seeing over here is, of course, we selected tobacco products ISIC 16 as our category. We selected Indonesia as our geography. Now, again, here no matter how many topics or geographies you select, those will be visible over here. But since we have only selected one each, this is what we are seeing right now. The statistics that I started with is the production or the turnover for tobacco products in Indonesia, and the default currency is IDR million because we selected Indonesia. Now production again, when it comes to definitions, there are a few different ways to view the definitions, and I will quickly point out how at any given time, if you are confused about what tobacco products include, what is the meaning of production turnover, what is the meaning of current prices, and so on and so forth, different units of measurement, the few ways in which you can refer to the definitions is over here. View current definitions and calculation variable. The difference is that view current definition will give you definition only of what is visible on the page. If I click on definitions, it will take you to all the definitions that we have. Now, with this, I want to just quickly show you that there is, sorry, I'll just move this, something called Help Center available over here. We get a lot of questions on what is the meaning of this term that I see on passport? What is the definition of this category that I see on passport? And I want to show to the users very quickly that you are empowered to view these definitions at your discretion because everything is available under Help Center. So on the top right of your screen, you will be able to see Help Center, and this will be the page that would be available under it. So you have different things like glossary of terms, definitions, and FAQs. I would encourage you to maybe explore it. It is a great directory which gives you the explanations and meanings of all the terms that we use on passport. So it saves you time and it empowers you to know immediately what is something and what something means. Okay, so that was a quick detour, but this is very important for us to understand before we go further. Now, I see some numbers. The default range selected is 2019 to 2024. I would like to draw your attention to the functionalities here in this gray bar that I see above. There are a few ways to customize this. And in my experience, the first thing that our clients like to do is to standardize the unit into maybe a more comparable currency. So if I click on convert data, the first option is currency, and to change the currency of the numbers that we are seeing on your screen. So what I just need to do is if I need to change Indonesian rupiah values into USD, I will just click on this here, and this will change the production MSP that I see here in IDR into USD with just one click. This is very important when we are comparing the production or the company shares or any market size across different geographies. All right, because we need to compare apple to apple, and for that exact reason, we have this convert data functionality in passport. Something very basic and intuitive, but also something that we might forget in our day-to-day usage. Similar to this, there are different ways to convert the data into something that is more readable and understandable to you. So we have something called unit multiplier. Again, this is very simple. It's just a matter of decimals. But sometimes when the number is very large, we can use the billion functionality to convert the number into billions. Sometimes when the number is very small, point something something, we have the functionality to convert into thousands, which gives a better view and understanding of the numbers that you are seeing on the screen. And the third most important functionality I would like to point out is the year-on-year growth percent. So all our data, or most of our data that you see here, will be available in actual terms, especially when it comes to market sizing and market shares. and it will be available in percentage terms or year-on-year growth terms. This is very important if you are someone who's looking at the growth trends or forecast trends or historical trends for a given industry. So now that I have converted the production MSP or turnover MSP into numbers, I can easily say, okay, from year 2019, 2020, there was growth spurt, and then there was a sudden drop, maybe because of the COVID, maybe because of other reasons. And then again, the growth has been very slow in tobacco is what I see right now. All right. So these are some of the things to note in terms of, and we call it semi-customizable because these things are available at a click for you. So just wanted to highlight these three important things under convert data. So please keep this in mind whenever you are referring or coming to this table. The second most important thing I want to highlight is to change the date range or the period. So our historical data for industrial system goes pretty far back. As you can see, this starts from 1997 to current to forecasts. Now our forecasts are usually 5 years into the future. So you will be able to see the forecast until 2030. Again, this is just a matter of clicking a button. I'm going to click on 2030 and click on apply, and this will expand the date range to exactly the years that I have selected. And this is applicable both to your percentage share that we are seeing here and to the actuals that we were seeing before. If I want to convert this to actuals, I can go to growth again and click on no growth, and this will give me the values in USD million. Some other functionalities to note is that you can download this data from here. All right, so if I click on this download button, you can download the current data set, full data set. This will be in Excel, or you can also download it in PDF, but I know most of us prefer to download the data in Excel terms, and then you can do additional or further analysis. You can also share the link with your colleagues. If you and your team is working on similar data sets, you can just create the link here and share it with them, and it will lead you to them into the exact page that you have here customized and ready for them to view. Okay. Again, at any given point, if I want to change the categories, I can use modify search over here, and I will be able to add, subtract categories as well as geographies. So these are the functionalities that I wanted to show. Any data set that you see, any statistics that you see under, whether it's tobacco, whether it's food, whether it's equipment, etc., this will be the functionality available to you. Yeah, Andy, I will just pause here before we go to the next one.
Ya, thank you, Chancha. Tadi sebelumnya mungkin di sini lebih ke kami hendak menyajikan ya mungkin detail-detail mengenai navigasi-navigasi utama yang dapat membantu tim. Yang pertama itu lebih tentunya dari segi nilai tukar. Karena kan tentunya ketika kita melakukan cross comparable itu kalau misalnya diklik Indonesia, Germany dan sebagainya itu dari segi currency kan berbeda-beda. Jadi dari satu klik dari convert data tadi itu sudah dapat membantu tim untuk menyeletarakan angka-angka tersebut ke misalnya USD. Jadi dapat sehingga lebih memudahkan tim untuk melakukan cross comparable analysis. Yang kedua, Chancha, can you click the convert data?
Ya.
Ya, ada beberapa data-data fitur-fitur yang juga sangat berguna, terutama yang bagian growth ya. Jadi kadang-kadang kan dari segi analisa yang paling utama itu what is the next growth kan. Di sini dapat mengubah data-data yang tadi ditampilkan secara absolut langsung diubah ke growth sehingga kita bisa melihat seberapa besarnya pertumbuhan sektor tersebut. Yang ketiga itu lebih kadang-kadang dari analisa per kapita. Ini tentunya juga sangat membantu analisa policy dan sebagainya. Kemudian, namun sebelum kita berbagi lebih lanjut mengenai fitur yang lain, tadi rekan saya juga menyampaikan fungsi-fungsi yang sudah memang terbuka untuk user, terutama di bagian health center. Health center ini sangat penting. Maybe you can go to the help center saja. Untuk user dapat mengakses FAQ utama dari segi mungkin glossary, definition, dan metodologi dan sebagainya. Okay, we can go back to the statistic part. Nah, di sini tadi saya pikir yang sangat berguna itu juga few current definitions. Nah, di sini begitu misalnya user ini ya nggak tahu kan, misalnya tentunya untuk sektor pharmaceutical dan sebagainya misalnya. Nah, begitu few current definition ini bisa kelihatan definisi yang berhubungan dengan yang sektor yang dipilih. Nah, kalau dengan tab definitions ini lebih mengacu kepada semua definisi yang semua sektor yang di cover dari Euromonitor. Jadi kalau view current definition itu lebih berhubungan dengan sektor yang dipilih di mana mungkin juga lebih sesuai karena tidak membaca definisi yang tidak ada hubungannya dengan analisa yang sekarang ini. Saya pikir ini fitur-fitur yang sangat berguna. Kemudian dari segi timetable itu time series juga dapat dipilih ya. Sehingga, kan pertanyaannya what happen next kan in terms of the forecast. Di sini begitu mengubah ke time series yang sampai 2030, rekan-rekan dari Kementerian sudah dapat melihat data-data yang kita forecast. Ya, oke, Chancha.
Yeah, okay. So now to understand the next statistics will be easy because now we know how to use this data. And it would remain the same if there are 10 line items, 20 line items, or only one line item, you will be able to do the same exact conversions that we just talked about. So that's why I spent a bit more time here. We will maybe just quickly take a look at one or two more, which are a bit different, and then we can move to the next pillar, which is qualitative pillar. So if I want to change the stats type, this is also important for us to be more efficient users of Passport. I can go back to search results and it will take me to the first page that we saw with the statistics list. But this is an easier way to do it. Click on change stats type and then I can jump to any statistics that I want to see next. Maybe let me click on company shares. Yeah, Andy, if just this part.
Ya, di sini kita bisa melihat perubahan data yang berikutnya. Tadi kan yang lebih ke mungkin production. Di sini lebih ke perubahan data ke fitur-fitur lain, contohnya seperti company size dan sebagainya.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
So now that we have clicked on company shares, again, this is for those who have been using Passport, maybe, you know that the next logical step to go from the market size or the size of any industry is to then see who are the players. What does the competitive landscape look like? So that's why I usually like to show company shares at the next step because we have a couple more customizations that we can do to this table. Again, please note that forecasts are not available for company shares. You will be able to view historical as well as current, but forecasts are not available for company shares or any kind of further breakdown.
Oke.
Yeah.
Ya. Berarti yang di sini kami hendak berbagi bahwasannya untuk bagian forecast ini tidak terdapat fitur tersebut untuk company share. Maybe Chancha, we can also share a bit more why this is not available for the company shares for the forecast.
Sorry, Andy?
Maybe you can share a bit more on why the company shares is not available for forecast.
Yeah, Andy,
Yeah.
would you maybe
Let me take it.
you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ini mungkin ini saya izin ya untuk berbagi kenapa bagian company share ini tidak ada forecastnya. Karena dari segi market analysis ini fungsi kami kan juga untuk understand what is the view in the market about the market size. Nah, kalau untuk company share ini sebenarnya lebih sulit diprediksi karena kan sebenarnya dari ekosistem player itu juga tidak lebih dinamik ya. Dalam arti dari segi market research kita tidak dapat memprediksi tindakan-tindakan apa yang dapat dilakukan oleh player-player tersebut. Sehingga pada umumnya untuk competitive shares itu tidak market research seperti kami tidak memberikan forecast.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Thank you for the explanation. All right. So just couple of things that I would like to maybe share over here in this table is what you're seeing right now is the market share percentage of the companies, the major players that are present in the tobacco industry in Indonesia. So I can see that, okay, maybe Philip Morris looks like that it has the most share, and then Gudangaram and so on and so forth. And the other category over here that you see is basically a collective market share of all the smaller players, all the smaller tobacco players in Indonesia. And then I have the total at the bottom. Now, a couple of things that I can do over here is number one, which is the most obvious one, is to change this into actual numbers. Now, if I go to convert data and then click on actuals, this will show me the exact number in IDR because that's the default currency for each of these companies over here. All right. Now, again, like I said, the functionality is similar for all the statistics available. I can change the currency if I want to from here, but something that is new for company shares, for brand shares, for anything that has to deal with the breakdown of all the players in the market is something called ranking. Now, again, this might look like a small thing, but if you are someone who is very quickly taking a look at, I just want to know who are the top 3 players that I need to look out for in the market or focus on. This is an important one because when I just rank them, it shows me very quickly over the years who has held number 1 position, who has held number 2, number 3, so on and so forth. And I know right now we are only seeing a few names, but there might be some industries where there's a list of maybe 10, 20, even 30 players. In that case, it becomes very important if we just want to focus on the top 1 or top 2 or top 3 players. Just something interesting that I wanted to point out. Again,
Yeah.
other functionalities remain the same. You can change the time period, you can download this data, and you can change the stats type and so on and so forth from here. Yeah, Andy.
Ya, jadi tadi dari segi navigasi mungkin lebih ke bentuk persentase. Nah, sama juga dengan yang sebelumnya, begitu kita klik actual itu sudah dapat melihat nilai actual dari segi IDR dan sebagainya. Kemudian tadi rekan saya juga berbagi bahwasanya mungkin kalau hanya memerlukan sedikit pemahaman mengenai overall landscape industri dari segi ranking, maka ranking ini juga dapat membantu tanpa drill down ya untuk berapa persentase market share yang tersebut dan sebagainya.
Thank you, Andy.
Ya.
So with this, we can end the quantitative pillars section over here. I know that there are quite a few statistics that we cover. And if you have any specific questions on these statistics, we can take that up in Q&A. But I will now maybe move to the second pillar. So once we have the hard numbers, once we have the trends, the forecast for tobacco industry, the next step usually is to understand the why behind the data. If I see that tobacco growth has dropped over the years, it peaked and then after COVID it dropped and then is slowly recovering. Why is that happening? What are some of the changes that have happened in the market? What are the trends that are impacting tobacco products in Indonesia? For that, we usually refer to the written or the qualitative insights, which are present in the form of different kinds of reports. Now, for industrial section, the most important reports or the most prominent reports you will be seeing and referring to are called country reports, which is what you see here. So this will give you the title, which is, of course, tobacco products in Indonesia. What kind of report is it? It is a country report. And when was it published, which is the latest version. Now, what does country report do? It gives us a very quick view of the industry. In this case, in our example, it is tobacco. It focuses on the main indicators of different industry. Different industries have different indicators which sort of act as the drivers for the growth of that industry, right? So this report covers that. It gives us an outlook on the industry and then a short analysis on explaining, like I said, what are the key trends happening in tobacco products in Indonesia. I will quickly just slide through this, and I encourage you, if you have not used or read a country report before, I encourage you, maybe after this, you can go and see what kind of analysis is there and what do you understand after you are done reading with this report. But this will be a common, or I would say standard format for our country reports for industrial topics over here. So it will start off with a very quick insights or headlines for tobacco products in Indonesia. And then it uses a combination of charts, visual graphs, as well as written analysis to sort of give that holistic insights and analysis of tobacco industry in Indonesia. All right. So I'm just quickly browsing through it. Again, this is very intuitive. Once you go through it, you will be able to understand what kind of insights you can expect from our country reports. But I just wanted to show you, in case anyone has not seen or not accessed a country report, this is what you can expect it to look like. Yeah, Andy? Halo?
Ya, sorry. Di
Ya.
sini kami juga menekankan kembali pentingnya untuk rekan-rekan mencoba tab analisis tersebut. Karena sebenarnya dari segi UX ini sangat 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 mudah. Begitu klik anti report keluar dan semua analisa-analisa yang sudah berhubungan dengan sektor dan industri tersebut sudah kami sediakan dalam bentuk satu format. Tentunya ini juga bisa dapat di-download, namun dari segi web tersebut juga sudah bisa dibaca secara terstruktur. Tentunya kita tidak menindaklanjuti secara detail, tapi namun kami merasa penggunaan analisa tersebut untuk kebanyakan kami dapat ditingkatkan sehingga lebih memahami data-data di belakang ataupun insight-insight di belakang angka yang sebelumnya rekan-rekan lihat di bagian data point tadi.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
And just for more housekeeping, you can download our reports as well, passport, from this function over here. So if I click on download, it will give me the option to mostly download in PDF format. So just like our statistics, you can download the reports as well. You can create and share links with your team members as well. Yeah.
Yang seperti kita sharing, bahwa ini report-report tersebut dapat di-download ya. Nanti juga dapat di-sharing ke rekan-rekan yang
Yeah, thanks, Andy. So this again, because you see tobacco products in India, you in Indonesia, you see only a couple of reports here. This is, like I said, this is not exhaustive. This is only because we have selected just tobacco products in Indonesia. Hence, you are seeing this report. Right towards the end, once I quickly cover dashboards and tools, I will show you how to access the list of all the published reports in one place. But before that, we will move to the dashboards. And if you could just translate this part.
Yeah. Nanti sekarang ini kan lebih ke reportnya mungkin lebih ke satuan di mana sektor yang berhubungan dan industri yang itu terpilih. Nanti di akhir mungkin kita bisa menampilkan semua report-report yang tercover dalam satu halaman.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Now for the last pillar of Passport, which is our dashboards, our interactive tools, I will like to show one example today. Now you can see that there are a few options available for you to explore. I don't want to get too much into explaining these dashboards now, otherwise it will take us very long and we won't be able to spend time on Q&A. But I assure you that these dashboards are quite intuitive, meaning that if you go here and start to explore, it is not very difficult to understand. And what these dashboards do is they use our statistics and our qualitative insights and present them in an interactive format and give certain more analysis like, your CAGR, your growth, your value add, so on and so forth, in a way which is easier for you to understand. All right. So this is not completely new data. This is using all our existing statistics and as existing insights, but presenting in a more interactive way for you. Sometimes visual learning is sometimes more impactful for a few of us. Hence, I encourage that you also go and maybe explore these dashboards yourself. But before I end the third pillar, I just wanted to show you this industrial operating environment dashboard because this is something that we see a lot of our clients and a lot of our users using. Now, again, maybe we'll stick to the same example. Some of the things you can do here is, again, we can start with selecting the geography that we want to see more analysis on. We can select the topic that we were looking at. Let's just stick with tobacco so we don't confuse ourselves. Let's see if it's over here. Yeah. Select tobacco. And then you will be able to see certain analysis which maybe you might have thought you would need to work out, like percentage of GVA, turnover, the total turnover right here, historic profitability, percentage growth, some of the things that you maybe want to understand when you are in that brainstorming phase right at the top for each of these industries. So here you will be able to select your topic. On the right, you will see some associated graphs and charts for the section that you have selected. And as I scroll down, what you see here is all the statistics that we saw in the first pillar, but this will give you a bit more interactive insights on the same. So without spending too much time over here, I encourage you to maybe explore these. If you have any questions ever, you can always reach out to us and we will be happy to maybe schedule like a quick session just for you or your team to maybe help you understand the interactive tools as well. But my goal today is to show you everything that is available for you to do your own analysis and do your own research. All right. So I encourage you to maybe go back and use this. And with this, we come to an end to the 3 pillars of Passport, which form the foundation of your future use. Okay. Andy, I just have one more thing to show, but maybe you can explain this part.
Oke,
Yeah.
Thank you, Chancha. Di sini yang hendak kami tekankan adalah data-data, meskipun ini secara visual ya, dashboard ini tentunya secara visual. Namun ya, di sini hendak kami tekankan data-data yang ditampilkan di dashboard ini sangat konsisten dengan data-data yang sebelumnya muncul di bagian the first step is what data saja. The first step.
Oh, this one?
The tab before analysis.
B2B.
Oke. Jadi data-data yang B2B ini semua dia sebenarnya sangat konsisten dengan data yang sebenarnya di dashboard yang muncul di bagian data tersebut sebelum analisa. Nah, tentunya di sini lebih mendalami dari segi visual. Di bagian yang kanan itu tentunya kita tampilkan secara, kan kalau misalnya kadang-kadang kita melihat data itu mungkin nggak ada feel-nya, tapi di sini kalau secara visual bisa kelihatan pertumbuhannya berapa besar. Tentunya ini juga dapat dipilih melalui negara-negara yang berbeda dan sebagainya. Nah, dari segi coverage ini juga memiliki market price, trade, profitability, firmographics dan sebagainya. Tadi dari rekan saya juga menyampaikan kalau misalnya nanti rekan-rekan memiliki pertanyaan lebih lanjut, silakan menghubungi kami. Namun tujuan utama hari ini adalah lebih untuk menekankan fungsionalitas dari pasport tersebut.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. So now, just before we move to Q&A, I will take 2 minutes of your time to show you where you can find or access all the published reports under industrial in your passport login. That is also very important because sometimes we can skip this ribbon that we see over here. So in your passport login, if you go to industries, you will be able to see B2B section active, click on B2B and go to industrial. So once I click on that, it will lead me to a page, which is what we call a topic page. Now, this page is especially useful if you are interested in exploring the qualitative insights, because if you see this section here, which is latest reports, and I click on view all, this will give me a list of all the published reports for all the industries across all markets in one place. And this acts like a depository. This is a full directory of all our reports for an associated topic. Very important, and I wanted to highlight this to you. Another thing which is more functional, but we can forget sometimes, is to refine your search on the left-hand side. I don't need to go back to select the geographies and topics and so on. I can do that right here. If there is a specific geography you are looking at to find the reports, you can find it here. If there are specific categories and topics you are looking at to find the reports for, you can do that here. If there are specific analysis, like I said, we have different kinds of reports. Although country reports form the bulk of the type of reports that we have for industrial, we also have things like strategic briefings, which are more thematic, which can help you understand the global trends. We have opinion reports, which are more opinion-based by a specific analyst working on the report, so on and so forth. So this functionality is very important to enhance the usage of this part. But this is where all the reports are available for you to access for the industrial system. And we will end on this note for the passport demo or training and move to our final section, which is Q&A.
Ya, thank you, Chen Chao. Nah, untuk rekan-rekan Kemendak, ini saya kira juga fungsi yang sangat penting karena di bagian yang sebelum itu navigasi lebih ke user udah tahu nih, misalnya kita mau mencari informasi mengenai pharmaceutical, kemudian negara tertentu. Nah, tapi kadang-kadang kita juga mengeluarkan report yang berhubungan dan kita tag ke berbagai industri, misalnya kayak electric vehicle dan sebagainya. Jadi begitu ke depository yang B2B industrial ini, kelihatan nih semua report-report yang berhubungan, bukan hanya dari segi country report, terutama lebih dari analisa Euromonitor, insights manager kami mengenai industri yang tertentu. Ini saya pikir juga salah satu fungsionalitas yang sangat penting, karena kadang-kadang kita tidak tahu apa aja yang di-cover dari bagian industrial tersebut secara overall. Mungkin dari ini menjadi bagian terakhir dari mungkin sesi ketiga mengenai live demo. Yang berikutnya sebelum kita memasuki acara Q&A ya.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, so I will stop sharing my screen. We also have our colleague, our research colleague with us in the call. David, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Hello.
hello. Hi, David.
Hello, David. Hi.
David Zhang is, you might have seen his name tagged to some of the reports. He is our colleague from the research side. If there are any questions more on the methodology, the sources, and the insight side of things, then David has joined us to help support that. I will end the training part here, and then maybe Cynthia, we can see how do we take the Q&A section forward.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Chanjao. So actually, we already have some questions from our colleagues from the Ministry of Trade in the chat.
Okay.
We can start addressing the one from Mr. Yehuda. So first questions will be, I put export and import data from Euromonitor, and some of the data shows 0.0. What does this mean?
I think for this, would you mind to take a screenshot? I can take back to get addressed by our industrial data team.
Okay.
So exact screenshot categories, if there are multiple, feel free to send us the multiple screenshots. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Second question will be, when will be the annual cut-off date for the export and import data for industrial? The cut-off date, so I think it will be the update schedule for industrial. Maybe we can show the period of data that we gather for industrial.
Yeah. David, is that understanding correct, or would you have anything to add to this part?
Okay. Okay. I just checked the publication date for the industrial system is April. My hypothesis is industrial data seems will be likely end each year, likely November, December. Let me confirm. For example, our automotive system was actually published in around February, but actually the data research period is around June to August period. So we kind of model or forecast for the whole year. And let me come back with the answers from our data team. Thank you.
Yeah. Cynthia, would you mind maybe translating it to the team?
Oh, actually, I'm typing the answer.
Oh, you're typing it. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
No problem. Let me help also.
No problem.
Okay.
So let me help on this. I think thank you for the questions for these two. In terms of the question number one, we would. Sorry, I should be speaking in bahasa. Untuk yang pertanyaan nomor satu ini mungkin nanti terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Mungkin nanti bisa dibantu mengirimkan screenshot. Nanti David akan menelusuri dengan tim-tim yang berikutnya. Kemudian mengenai annual cut-off date ini ada tergantung mengenai research schedule. Nanti David juga akan memberikan informasi lebih lanjut mengenai ini. Yep. You can continue, Cynthia.
Okay, so the next question will be how can the historical data and forecasts up to 2030 in Euromonitor be used to identify industry growth? Identify industry growth trends and potential export opportunities. So, what will be the implications of the historical data that we have, along with the forecast up to 5 years from Euromonitor to identify specific industry growth trends and also any potential export opportunities?
Anyone?
Sure.
Yeah, David, do you want to take this up? And then you can add as well.
Yeah, sure. Okay. If I can share my experiences with the automotive industries, we look at both. That's a good question. Thanks for the question. And we look at both historical data and forecast. And historical data are usually based on our government sources, industry associations. For example, on automotive, we correlate with the Automotive Industry Association, plus the import-export, as you mentioned, in the customs. Plus, we also understand the supply side, for example, in terms of battery related to the industrial system. And in terms of forecast, we actually correlate to our economics and consumers data. So that will be correlating to the country growth in GDP, consumer expenditure, for example, in terms of consumers' disposable income, and also in terms of certain methodologies for certain industries. For example, the automotive I'm working on, we also correlate to some of primary research in terms of a consumer survey. For example, there are all manufacturers of electric vehicles saying electric vehicle will be the future, but whether or not in different markets that consumers will get buying, that will be different as well. For example, in Indonesia, some of the key concerns we have survey is around the infrastructure of charging, for example. So in terms of that, we really triangulate different data points and to try to forecast. And with that, we can, in our passport, we can sort in terms of historical growth or in terms of forecast growth. Then we identify which markets will be the highest growth for a certain industry. And then we recommend those industries could be the high growth potential, for example. And we understand if, for example, Indonesia will be pretty strong in the mining industries to support the country growth, for example, into the automotive. And from there, one of my hypotheses is we can identify which are the key markets in terms of automotive production forecast growth. From there, we'll be identify which are the key markets for the export. For example, in the past, Germany, Japan used to be the key markets for automotive production, but now China has been rising, especially in terms of electric vehicles. So from that perspective, we could be reflect into the systems of forecast and if I could be exporting nickel, lithiums to China. Yeah. Do you want to add, Andy or Chan?
Di sini mengenai pertanyaan nomor 2 ya, Cynthia, benar ya? Ini bagaimana menggunakan paspor itu untuk lebih menganalisa competitive of industry di global market. Jadi tadi David juga memberikan satu contoh yang saya kira lumayan bagus mengenai mungkin mining. Nah, di Indonesia kan mining itu juga menjadi salah satu perekonomian utama ya. Nah, menggunakan paspor ini kita bisa melihat produksi mungkin contoh otomotif di negara-negara lain dan kita bisa melihat fokus ke depannya. Begitu kita melihat fokus ke depannya, kita bisa melihat fokus negara mana yang lebih mungkin memberikan potensi. Nah, di sini juga bisa menjadi salah satu fokus mungkin kebijakan-kebijakan secara data yang terstruktur. Kemudian David juga menyampaikan mungkin informasi bahwasanya data kita juga kita triangulate dari beberapa sumber, contoh mungkin dari segi konsumen survei, apa yang menjadi kendala utama bagi konsumer untuk membeli atau menggunakan misalnya mobility di negara tersebut. Ini juga bisa yang seperti yang kami sharing sebelumnya, bisa memberikan sedikit lebih warna yang lebih, ataupun insight yang lebih dalam mengenai, oh ya mungkin Germany dulunya begini, China dulunya dari segi pengguna otomotif itu bagaimana. Dari segi consumer survey itu juga adalah salah satu sumber utama dari research kami. Semoga ini dapat membantu. Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. it can continue. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Andy and David. So the next question will be, how can production side and consumption side data, such as market size, production, imports, and exports, help analyze the competitiveness of industry in the global market? So what will be the implications of this production and consumption side data to the competitiveness of an industry globally?
It's still in packaging process, and we will do that until wait around 1 hour to
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Thanks for the question. If I can take these questions from the consumer appliances industry example, because it has both production side, consumption side, and also for automotive industry as well. For that, that's a good question. We typically triangulate with the market production size, retail market size, plus import exports. But we do understand there are certain markets that can be a transient market when you reconcile into the data. For example, in Latin America, for example, in the past, Venezuela could be one of the markets in terms of transit. And in terms of countries, industries, competitiveness, import, export, we also use that market size in terms of production, import, export, plus retail to understand the competitive in terms of firstly in the market size, second in terms of market growth. For certain industries, you only have volume, and for some other industries, you also have a value. We do look at the market growth in terms of value perspective plus volume perspective. So if we define the competitiveness, if in terms of the profit or revenue, I think we have to look at in terms of competitiveness in terms of a value, and in terms of let's say the scale, we also look at the volume. For example, globally across my experiences of understanding the consumer goods, services, industries, we can see a global trend of a kind of industrial shift. For example, like appliances in the past, probably 5 or 10 years ago, shifting from Europe, Japan, Korea to China, and now it also has been going the kind of transformation for the automotive side as well. So with that, it's also kind of undergoing kind of a factor in terms of production cost, labor cost, plus the kind of a digital transformation scale that we also triangulate with different industries. For example, there are cases of a study in terms of an appliance that also look at in terms of labor cost, as well as the kind of digital transformation. We look at that and recommend to the clients. For example, some of our Chinese automotive companies and our banks like to analyze opportunities of expanding into Southeast Asia. But certain markets also understand there could be national or kind of a local or implement concern as well. We do look at that because at the moment, the Chinese kind of in terms of automation level is pretty high. For like some, they even claim like the kind of dark factory in terms of more than 95%. So with that, it will have an impact to the industry. So coming back to the question in terms of analysis of companies, depends on how we define. We could look at in terms of revenue, in terms of value growth, in terms of volume growth, but also we have to triangulate with data in terms of the market readiness, in terms of the labor cost, of automation level. And with that, actually, I can maybe discuss with Andy and Chansha. We have actually come up with a flagship report of the rise of a Chinese brand in South Asia that could be sharing some more insights into areas, into, for example, why Chinese brands are getting more and more competitive across different industry in terms of consumer food, beverages, appliances, automotive. Like, maybe can give more flavor. Yeah, thanks. At your convenient time.
Ya, mungkin dari sini saya bantu summary ya. Dari pandangan David ini, kompetitif ini dapat dilihat dari berbagai sudut. Apakah dari satu total penjualan, value, market readiness, dan berbagai dan sebagainya. Namun kadang-kadang dari setiap sektor itu juga memiliki mungkin concern yang berbeda. Nah, di sini kami juga akan memberikan, nanti kita bisa mengirimkan satu report mengenai rise of Chinese brand. Di sini bisa melihat analisa bagaimana mungkin brand-brand dari Chinese juga berkembang, terutama di bagian atau sektor consumer electronic. Sasha, maybe we can send the report later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we move to the next
So,
one?
so the next questions will be
So it's
how can analytical tools such as the attractiveness index and data visualization in Euromonitor support the identification of potential markets and key trading partners?
Yeah, true. I mean,
So,
Go ahead first.
so how can analytical tools like what we have in attractiveness index and also our data tabulation, data visualizations can support them in identifying potential markets and also key trading partners. So like distributors for export from Europe, from Indonesia.
So it is.
If I can maybe share my opinions on my experiences visualization into firmographics first. And maybe Andy Chandra can add on the attractive index. So for me, because I'm collaborating with quite a lot of banks or payment companies, they also look at how to serve the businesses in terms of export and trading partners. So how they look at it and how they use our data system is firstly look at who are the key industries by market size and market growth. For example, in terms of Indonesia, into Australia, Japan, in terms of growth, because they want to prioritize those firstly large markets and then the high growth market, because each year financial they only have a limited financial budget. And secondly, they go into our firmographics, like what Chandra has demoed earlier, to look at in terms of market competitive landscape. For example, the large corporates, medium-sized companies, micro SMEs, and how many of them, and then in terms of which are the key key companies in the large corporates. So from there, they analyze whether who to partner with and how they can build a partnership with them. But having said so, I do highlight some limitations of our system because due to our course and research methods, we won't be able to highlight every companies in the industry, in the market. For example, the medium-sized micro SMEs, we won't be able to cover, but we do have a consulting team in place which we're able to serve to identify to understand, for example, in terms of qualitative pain points, priorities in terms of the companies, in terms of export or import. So that's our competitive strength of Euromonitors. We're able to bring specific markets to support those companies are looking to build that kind of trading or kind of financial partnerships. Thanks.
Ya, thank you David. Jadi di sini tentunya kita bisa menggunakan data yang seperti David sampaikan ketika dia bekerja sama dengan payment company misalnya. Data-data ini dapat digunakan untuk menentukan prioritas market utama. Kemudian dari segi firmographics ini kita juga dapat melihat berapa besarnya komposisi perusahaan besar di sektor tersebut, SMI dan sebagainya. Namun di sini sebagai research provider kita juga sangat transparan bahwasanya dari segi ini kita tidak mungkin dapat mencakup semua pemain, terutama di SMI atau medium size. Ini lebih ke fokusnya ke jumlah pemain-pemain utama. Semoga ini dapat membantu. Yeah, you can continue.
Sure. There will be 3 more questions left. So the fourth question would be, how can the historical data and forecast up to 2030? So how does Euromonitor provide data and analysis on creative services and other service sectors, considering that service data is often more limited compared to goods trade?
David, maybe you can, you might have some context on this because of the payments data methodology. Mixed method and plus our modeling capabilities.
I can share my experience with services side of industries, but not the at the industrial system itself. So I think in our industry system, to a certain extent, triangulate with our industry side of data. For services industries, largely monitors we cover payments and lending, travel, automotive, and I work closely with our colleagues on the channels, meaning retail, online retail e-commerce as well. From there, our research methodologies cover quite a few key research methods. For example, in terms of tax research, we refer to each country's central government or central banks data. For example, in Singapore context, where we track in terms of credit cards, debit cards, or kind of digital payment data, we go to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is the central bank of Singapore for certain data sets. But however, for market shares, we usually drive the research towards the market research in terms of surveys, interviews, by, for example, asking in terms of the consumers, goods manufacturer or service provider. For example, in terms of service industries will be the travel suppliers, the bank suppliers. But certain industry, for example, the financial industry, will be really typically very tough to understand the shares. We also triangulate with our digital tracking methods, for example, Apptopia, etc. Because from there we'll be able to understand which are the key banking or payment apps which have the most usage in terms of monthly active users. The other component I would emphasize would be Euromonitor strengths is we conduct annual voice of consumer and industry surveys. For example, in cross-travel survey, retail, as well as payments across the 40, depends on the survey. Usually it's from 30 to 47 research markets. We ask the consumers, we ask the industry professionals, for example, into payment, what are the key payment methods they use in terms across the digital wallets, etc. Across travel retail, what are the research channels? For example, in terms of discovery, what are their decision channels? And then what are the kind of payment methods going through travel, retail, food services as well? And that will be triangulating to form our data sets in terms of the services industries across. But I believe, to my hypothesis, our industry data also will be triangulating in terms of production, import, export to drive the retail market size for services industries, because the production plus import or minus export will be equal to so the services industry size in certain markets.
Yeah, I think
Thank
I would say the brief would be for the users to understand it maybe in a simpler term would be that we use mixed methodology. Cynthia, perhaps that's something that you can highlight in your answer. Is that we have a foundational methodology for all our systems. Yes, we mentioned that for industrial, we use national accounts, we use input-output tables, but in places where, let's say, hard data is not available, we don't stop right there. So mixed methodology means that we have the capability to triangulate different things, like David mentioned, expert interviews, trade interviews, using assumptions, using our data modeling capabilities, so on and so forth, and arrive at the most accurate market sizes, production values, so on and so forth, wherever required. So just to emphasize that we do use a mixed methodology. Yes, even though national statistics and national input-output tables might form the basis for industrial system methodology.
Ya, thank you Chanchal and David. Jadi di sini tim kami Anda menekankan bahwasannya dari segi methodology, Euromonitor lebih ke mix methodology, di mana kita menggunakan data-data yang berbeda. Untuk industrial tentunya yang utama adalah dari national data, kemudian input-output table yang kemudian kita selaraskan dengan ISSIC code. Nah, tapi di sini David dan tim juga menyampaikan untuk data-data yang tidak tersedia, tentunya kita dapat menggunakan sumber lain ataupun menggunakan asumsi modeling ataupun juga menggunakan interview dengan pemain-pemain yang berbeda.
If you can add a few more points, leveraging my experiences of doing research of cross-border transactions, especially the key industries such as travel, retail, e-commerce, plus some of other industry data sets in terms of remittance, as well as investment, foreign direct investments. Each industries also have this kind of cross-border components, so let's be able to link up with import-export. For example, in terms of retail e-commerce, there are consumers, for example, I'm based in Singapore, they'll be able to purchase from Amazon, able to purchase from retail e-commerce, and the retail industries have the market size of those consumers purchase overseas. That will form a basis of import of services into Singapore. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So the next question will be, to what extent can the Euromonitor platform help identify international market opportunities in Indonesian creative services such as design, digital content, animation, and other creative industries?
Maybe I can just quickly take this up in the interest of time. We
Sure.
can cover other questions as well. So thank you for the question. And just to go back to, when we started the passport training and demo, similar to the example that we chose today, which was tobacco, you saw the list of statistics that we covered over there. Some of the names that you might remember and would have stood out to you would be the production value, the market sizes, the price indexes, the firmographics, import, export, so on and so forth. So these core statistics are applicable across the different industries that we cover under industrial, whether it's manufacturing or services. So even when we talk about creative services, there is a separate section, separate industry under industrial system, content, animation, advertising, so on and so forth. For the topics or categories that are in industrial system, we cover similar statistics. So even though we took the example of tobacco today, that doesn't mean that the other industries available on passport do not have the same statistics. So the idea is to give that similar kind of analysis across manufacturing and services industry. Basically, you should be able to understand the operating environment of an industry. You should be able to understand the size of that industry. Who are the major players? Where are you exporting to? Who are you importing from? What kind of companies are operating in the market? Is it very small, medium size, large size, so on and so forth? So these statistics are common across the different categories that we cover. So to the same extent that we saw today on tobacco, if you go to the creative services industry, if you select them, you will be able to see a similar level of analysis over there, and maybe some ancillary or additional statistics that make more sense for these creative industries. I hope I was able to, address the question.
Yeah, if I can add to Chandra's point, actually a lot of marketing and creative agencies, actually our clients as well, for example, the Dentsu, etc. If I can add some of the other names of our key clients for industrial system, in my sector coverage, for example, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, our clients in terms of banks like Standard Chartered, Sam Commercial Bank, DBS, JP Morgan, and also in terms of consulting firms like BCG, PwC, we have total around 320 plus clients, so they trust our data. As well, in terms of data quality, is also quite enhanced, trusted by them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the last question will be, how does Euromonitor address the challenges related to limited data availability and measurement in services trade, particularly to support market analysis and policy formulations for the development of Indonesia's service sector? So related to the limitation on the data availability again, in the service trade area, what we usually do when there is a challenge in terms of compiling or getting the data for the
Thanks.
service.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we addressed a little bit briefly with Chandra and me. So for certain industries which we are big lacking of data, we usually resort to either primary research with consumer surveys, trade interviews, or some of the digital tracking tools. Depends on the commercial interest and demand, if we can accommodate into the passport side of things. And then from there, we are able to support our clients. For example, nowadays, if lagging of that secondary research data, we'll be able to support them from various research methods. But if they are also in terms of let's say passport side of data limitations with the scope, we'll be able to further to support in terms of special bespoke studies with our proprietary methodologies. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
I think we already cover most of the questions, but we still have 2 remaining questions left from Bu Iska. So the one that Pak Yehus asked earlier regarding the 0.0 showing as the numbers when they search in the platform. Bu Iska asked if the value 0 is because the unit is in million. So is it possible that the value is less than 1 million? So it's showing 0.0. If at all we ask for the screenshot, maybe we can answer based on this.
Yes, I think we could with screenshot, we can have specific categories, and then we can vary the units. It could be, I mean, it's a good hypothesis. We can verify with our industrial data team whether it could be the units like 1 million, or it could be some other kind of factors. Thank you.
Also, just to point out, and maybe David, Andy, you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. If you remember that I showed, we are able to convert the unit into different multipliers, right, from millions, billions to thousands. So sometimes what I like to do, and I have tried this before, is if I see 0.0 or 0 million something point, that point is usually, I know, can be a bit dubious. So what I do is I usually convert it into thousands and see how much is it expanding into. Sometimes 0 just means 0, which basically, according to our analysis, the value is 0 in that particular section of the data, which means that there was nothing that we could find or identify in the market. But usually if the point is expandable, let's say 0.0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, and sometimes converting into thousands helps. Please correct me if my understanding is wrong, but in my own experience, I've found that this helps explain whether it's actually 0 or is it like a smaller value.
Ya, thank you, Chanchal. Terima kasih juga kepada Mbak Iska. Ini juga memang sehubungan dengan yang tadi Chanchal sampaikan, mungkin dari segi penggunaan fitur million, billion, dan sebagainya itu mungkin kadang-kadang bisa mempengaruhi hal tersebut. Nanti mungkin bisa coba dibantu pengubahan ke mungkin yang bagian thousand. Tapi kalau misalnya tetap tidak bisa, nanti silakan diinformasi ke tim kami, akan kami coba telusuri. Terima kasih.
Boleh izin bicara?
Silakan.
Oke, bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris ya?
Ya, silakan ya, Mbak. Ya.
Okay, we already use Euromonitor actually for about a year. So actually, your unit is only 1 million. We try to change it into 1,000. There is no feature for that. That's the first thing because, boleh izin Bapak Ibu, sebenarnya kelebihan Euromonitor ini, di sini ada jasa. That's why. Inilah sebenarnya alasan utama kenapa kami propose untuk langganan Euromonitor ini. Di sini ada jasa, tapi mereka tidak menyebutkan sejak awal ada jasa, tapi kita memang harus mengklik dan memilah yang mana yang masuk jasa. Jadi kalau Bapak Ibu sekalian, izin ya Pak Andi ya.
Ya,
ini
silakan.
biar dimanfaatkan ya.
Siap. Silakan.
Jadi kalau misalnya diklik masing-masing, di dalamnya itu ada barang dan jasa. Oke, tapi kita memang harus mengklasifikasikan dulu dan mendefinisikan dulu. Di situ sebenarnya di platform ini juga ada definisi masing-masing. Jadi kita bisa tahu itu barang dan jasa. Ini sebenarnya Bapak Ibu yang pengen tahu data tentang jasa, sebenarnya di sini ada. Cuman ada beberapa hal yang sebenarnya pengen secara teknis yang ingin kami tanyakan. That's why the first is about that value, David. There are some of I think because we are searching for services, so it's quite, I don't know, maybe for goods, I think the number will be a bit high, but some for services like construction, it's 0. So I thought if I'm not mistaken, if you say 0, it's actually there is number, unless you say not valuable. So it means it could be less than 1 million, right? But in your platform, we cannot change the unit. It's only million. I wish we can change it into thousands and other things. But the problem is in your platform is only million. That's it. Okay. Itu sebenarnya satu. And the second one also, I don't know, is there any way to see the data for bilateral trade? So because we try to search thing, it's not possible. So, but when we try to check the data, for example, for Indonesian export to the other country, to all of that country, it will come up with some country only. So we made that as a bilateral uh, export value. My question, when it's only come for when the data or bilateral trade is only 10 countries, it means that we don't have any export or import or bilateral trade with the other countries, or is it because you don't Euromonitor could not get any information about it? We just want to make sure that when we list, like for example, target market for one services, and it show up only 5 country or 10 country, means our export for that particular service only to that 10 countries. So my question is that really we only export to those particular countries, or you haven't get or you don't get any information for other countries? Because we already do this kind of research so far. So we don't when you want to say like recommend policies, we don't want to make like a mistake or maybe a great really bad failure when we suggest these numbers or this calculation to our government. That's it. Thank you. That my question about the value itself, about the bilateral trade. This is specifically for services. For good, I'm sure here, when we search for good export import, we can compare it with other resources. But for services, we only get from this Euromonitor, so we cannot compare whether your data is less or you haven't got all the data. Once we have for other like automotive, we can compare with our sources like other studies, like our local data bureau and other things. But when it comes to services, since you are the only one we can see now who provide it, so we don't know how to cross-check that. So I just ask you directly, is it because we only export to that limited countries, or is it because you haven't got any information to about other countries?
Yeah. Understood,
Thank you.
Miss. I think I just did a quick check and understood. Andy, if I mean we can, I think it would be best for us to maybe go check back with the industrial team because it's a very specific use case for services only. And I just went there and saw that there are values, especially if we break construction down into individual. I just checked construction. If we break it down into the subcategories, it looks like there is like data that comes in the zero value terms in millions. So perhaps we can go back and check, Cynthia, with our industrial team and then come back to the team with an answer. Unless, Andy, if you have any experience with other clients on this, perhaps you can add to this.
Yeah. No, thank you, Boiska. I think let us summarize the 2 points and then we will double check with the internal team before we come back to you on more comments on this. But thank you for the good questions.
I think on the chat, we have gone through all the questions and it's already past 12. If there is anything that we can address right now, please do let us know. Maybe we can just give a quick few seconds in case anyone else has any questions while we are here.
Sure. Bu Sari, Bu Indah, apakah dari rekan-rekan Kemendak ada pertanyaan lain yang kita masih bisa jawab di kesempatan kali ini?
Silakan bagi Bapak Ibu yang ingin menyampaikan pertanyaan dapat raise hand di ruang Zoom. Kami silakan. Sudah. Bagi Bapak dan Ibu, kami mohon izin kepada peserta untuk dapat mengisi form absensi, kemudian dapat mengisi survei yang kami sampaikan untuk dapat melihat bagaimana respon Bapak dan Ibu terhadap Euromonitor ini.
Thank you, Bu Sari. Lalu kalau saya dari rekan-rekan sekalian masih ada pertanyaan, mungkin nanti bisa kirim via email atau melalui Bu Sari, Bu Indah, nanti bisa disampaikan kembali ke tim Euromonitor untuk dijawab secara online.
Baik, mungkin saya recap aja ya, Mbak.
Boleh.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih Bapak dan Ibu untuk bimbingan singkat, bimbingan teknis pemanfaatan platform Euromonitor ini. Semoga dapat memberikan manfaat kepada peserta, kemudian mengenai pemanfaatan data analisa, kemudian analisa pasar global untuk mendukung kegiatan analisa perdagangan. Tadi sudah dijelaskan secara detail bahwa ada beberapa use case utama yang disampaikan oleh Ms. Cancal, bahwa ada market size, ada data industri termasuk dengan produksi, konsumsi, dan strukturnya, kemudian terkait dengan struktur ekspor impornya juga, ada competitiveness indeksnya juga, kemudian ada beberapa navigasi tools yang kemudian menjadi pilar utama, yaitu ada analisa datanya, data kuantitatif, kemudian ada data sendiri, ada dashboardnya, kemudian ada beberapa yang tadi disampaikan oleh Pak Andi dan Bu Cancal juga, bahwa banyak data yang bisa kita dapatkan dari Euromonitor ini, termasuk juga bagaimana kita mengubah menjadi harus memperhatikan beberapa konversinya terkait dengan nilai tukar, ada growth-nya, ada per kapitanya, kemudian juga harus diperhatikan terkait dengan change start untuk yang type datanya akan seperti apa. Kemudian dari penutup ini, harapannya platform ini dapat berguna, Bapak dan Ibu dapat mengakses data secara historis, proyeksi juga terkait dengan marketnya, indikator utama-utamanya, kemudian Euromonitor juga menyediakan analisa sektor jasa juga menggunakan kombinasi dari berbagai macam sumber, baik yang dari primer maupun sekunder. Kemudian ada mungkin beberapa pertanyaan yang disampaikan tadi, bahwa kalau misalnya Bapak dan Ibu ingin mendapatkan informasi perihal subjek tertentu, mungkin dapat email kepada kami atau tim Euromonitor. Kami silakan. Kemudian dari Ms. Cancal atau Pak Andi, Mbak Setia, kata-kata itu.
Yeah, mungkin Chancel, you can, then I will do some translation. But maybe let me start first. Dari kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada rekan-rekan tim Kemendak. Semoga ini sangat membantu. Dan kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan, silakan saja menghubungi kami, dan kami tentu standby ya untuk membantu mungkin memberikan respon yang terbaik. Tentunya dari kami juga bisa tetap menghubungi rekan-rekan kami di research untuk memberikan respons yang lebih komplit dan lengkap. Ya, itu saja. Terima kasih.
Dari Miss Tia, Miss Caca.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Is there any specific question or?
Just the
just
closing, just maybe.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you everyone today for your patience. I know that this might not be a very common format for you to have someone speak in English and then have a translator. But I hope with this setup itself, we try to explain as much in detail as possible. Despite this, if you ever find you are stuck or you have any questions when it comes to passport usage or the data itself, in addition to the questions that we addressed today, you can always feel free to come to us. I know Cynthia has been our constant point of contact with Buinda and Busari. So Cynthia will always let me know of any communication that happens at your end. So if at all there are questions like Ms. Iska asked and all the questions on the chat today, please feel free to reach out to us and we will ensure that we come back to you with an answer. And thank you so much for your patience. I hope the session was useful to you. For the new users who are not familiar with Passport, I hope it made you familiar with the portal itself and how to use it. And for the existing users, I hope it maybe showed you some things new on Passport and gave you like a refresher of how you can use it better going forward. And that's all.
Cynthia?
Kalau dari saya sebenarnya kebanyakan sudah tercover, tapi terima kasih atas kesempatannya yang diberikan pada tim Euromonitor dari Kemendak. Lalu kita juga mungkin ada poin tambahan yang bisa di-share dari saya. Kita bisa coba buat arrange untuk trend atau insight sharing juga jika tim Kemendak tertarik setelah sesi training ini selesai. Dan kalau ada pertanyaan maupun terkait teknikal maupun terkait data, selalu bisa hubungi saya melalui Bu Indah Busari atau via email juga. Terima kasih, Bu.
Terima kasih, Miss Caca. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Miss Setia. Terima kasih, Pak Andi. Demikian rangkaian kegiatan bimbingan teknis pelatihan pemanfaatan untuk platform Euromonitor terlaksana dengan baik, dan kami harap juga Bapak dan Ibu dapat memahami serta dapat memberikan kapasitas yang lebih untuk peserta dalam memanfaatkan data dan informasi terkait dengan Euromonitor yang terkait dengan industri. Kemudian semoga dapat mendukung analisa perdagangan yang memang dilakukan Bapak dan Ibu terkait dengan penyusunan kebijakan juga. Kami ucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi, thank you so much kepada narasumber dari tim Euromonitor atas paparan materinya dan diskusi yang sudah disampaikan, kepada seluruh peserta yang telah berpartisipasi aktif selama kegiatan berlangsung. Kami harapkan dapat memperoleh manfaat yang lebih. Demikian, sekian saya tutup untuk Bimtek Euromonitor kali ini. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Mbak Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you Caca, Cynthia, Andi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.